Hi fantasy managers, welcome to FPL Team Talk. This is game week 28 and I'm going to go through my watch list of players. It is a blank game week. We also have to consider the double coming up in 29. So I'm going to have a look at my transfer plans, the players that I'm going to be looking at transferring in. So if you enjoy these sort of videos, give it a like. Don't forget to subscribe. And in the meantime, let's take a look. Before we have a look at my game week plans then for game 28 and beyond, let's just have a quick recap of how I got on in game week 27. And you probably can see on the screen how I'm so keen to talk about it. It's 102 points, breached that 100 barrier. I was really close last night. I actually calculated out with the bonus points. I thought, I haven't quite made it. Somewhere along the lines, I miscalculated and I got over 100, so thrilled with that. Everyone pretty much returning. Saka, Rashford, single game week. They didn't. With a lot of way at Fulham scoring, 3 goals they get? Nothing for Saka. And didn't get anything in the previous game with 3 goals. Not really considering moving him on. Rashford blanked against Southampton. They had 10 men. Could have still easily have got a goal there. Odegaard benched. That was annoying. But do you know what? I can't really regret that. I think that's still a good... I'm always going to pick Saka over Odegaard. Zinchenko got the clean sheet, so that wasn't a bad call. And Trippier got a return, conceded against Wolves, but happy with that. Watkins bagging as well. He wasn't really in there for this game week, but he will come in for 28 and beyond. And Shaw was a good decision. Ward, obviously, never going to play him over a double week game week. Raya. So the rest have been brilliant. Captaincy went on McAllister, and that looked like their absolute perfect choice before last night's game. Matoma got an assist, Tony got the goal. So actually, I was a little bit down on that, but 20 points, I'm still happy, and I'm still happy to have McAllister on my side. So another green arrow, so that's really good. Pushes me up. I've got something like a 400k rise, but I'm just hovering around that million mark, so I'm not where I want to be. But I do have free hit. I've got my bench boost, and this is the effect that my wildcard would have hopefully had the other week. Didn't have a great effect last week, but still got a green arrow. This week's really improved, and I'm pretty well set up for 28, 29, 30, and I do have a plan as well. And this is a plan. So for game week 28, I rolled a transfer. So one reason for wildcarding in 26 was very much the fact that I would have then 2 free transfers moving into 28. I knew I was going to have 10 players. Fingers crossed, nothing has happened so far that any of my players, I've got issues. I've got like Kane, Watkins, Tony is 1 yellow card away. But he won't blank in 28, so I'm happy, I'm fine with that. If he picks up one in 28, he becomes something I've got to tackle in 29, but I've got plans for that. The rest of the side, everyone looks like they're fit, ready to go. They've had a break as well. Me, Tony and Raya, they've all played on Wednesday, but I don't see that they're going to get rotated anytime soon, especially when Tony potentially is going to have 2 games where he's involuntary sitting out anyway. Me and Raya goalkeeper, don't think he need to rotate, and me captain, I think he stays there. Estepinian, McAllister, Matoma, those 3 Brighton players that have been brought in for the doubles, 27 and 29, stay in the side, but they blank. Rashford blanks as well. I don't want to get rid of him anytime soon. So that leaves me with the problem of what to do in game week 28. I've got 10 players out, 2 free transfers, 5.3 million in the bank. I've got options. Always was the plan, it feels like a luxury, to take one of these Brighton players out. Doesn't really matter who, to be fair. And then bring them back in possibly for game week 29. So it feels like I'm killing 2 transfers there, but I do have 2 transfers to kill because I wildcarded. And it still leaves me another one later on to be able to do what I want. Options are, I don't necessarily have to take out a midfield player for Brighton. It could be that I take out Estepinian. Now, if I took out Estepinian, the candidates for me so far then are going to be Maddison for that midfield slot. Away at Brentford, I wouldn't say it's a great fixture. Brentford pretty tight at the moment, and Leicester not playing well. Maddison looks like a standout call. Lots of players are bringing him in. Wouldn't just be for 28. The fact that he plays in 28 gives me 11 players. Desperately need that and want that. Doubles in 29 as well. Now, I want as many double game week players. If I wasn't bench boosting, I think Maddison would be such an option because I'd have 11 players out anyway with good fixtures or double gaming. But I am bench boosting in 29, so I want more of those double game weekers on the bench as I can get. Decent fixture in 30 as well, Bournemouth, and he does play in 32. So Maddison's definitely an option. Overall, his stats look pretty good. He's got 18 starts this season. He's got 9 goals, 5 assists. His XGI is okay, 0.48. And as you can see, he's actually overperforming his XGI. But he's up there lots of Saka, but a lot cheaper. Nowhere near lots of De Bruyne or Rashford. And one thing I do like about him, even though Leicester aren't playing particularly well at the moment and results are not going away, last 3 games, his XGI 0.89. So he's actually performing pretty well. I think he's a player that they desperately want to keep out on the pitch for 90 minutes as well. They need him desperately at the moment. So Maddison is top of my list in terms of bringing in a midfielder for Mitoma at the moment. Defensively, if I could go the other way, I could take Estepinian out and look at a Chelsea defender because they've got good fixtures again and double in 29. Home to Everton looks like a good fixture. Reece James, not played a lot recently. He listed the last one because of illness. So I'm not particularly worried about that. He has a break after this game as well with the international. So actually, I'm quite keen on James. I think there's a good chance he'll play against Everton. The double game week worries me though. Is he going to get 2 games in 4 days? I'm just not sure. Decent XGI. Up there with lots of over lots of Shaw. Trippier, 0.4 probably beats most of them. But we know how explosive he can be, Reece James. Do like him. On the other side of the coin, instead of Reece James, the other choice in that Chelsea defence is Ben Chilwell, 5.9. Now, his XGI is not quite as high as Reece James, and he hasn't played as many games. But I will say he has been playing more games recently than Reece James. He's got a lot of more minutes under the belt, and I'm a bit more confident that he would play that double game week against Villa and Everton. And the fact they've got home games as well, I really like. So those are the 2 choices. And for the last 5 games, yeah, he's right there. You've got the goal against Leicester. He's also got some an assist in the game before that. So 0.22 is decent. Chilwell, for me, just 0.1 possibility of getting him in instead of Estepinian. Those are the 3 players that I would look at. Brighton players, then, who to move out? Because I've got to make a choice. Do I move... Well, we're going to have to move a Brighton player out. Who am I going to move in? And then who am I going to bring back in? Let's say if I took Mitoma out, let's have a look at him. 5.5 million. McAllister is the same price now as well. March is cheaper, 0.4 million cheaper, and that could be crucial later on. The top figure for XGI is him over the season. So Mitoma's XGI over the season, pretty impressive, 0.6 for a 5.5 million defender. That is midfielder. That is brilliant. You've got McAllister on 0.31, less impressive over the season, but again, he's on pens, nailed, looks pretty good, and March 0.54. So on the basis of that, Mitoma wins that race every day, just about over March. But we know in the last 4 games, 0.5 for Mitoma, still decent. McAllister, 0.85, and the same for March. Now, given that March is a bit cheaper, I am tempted to move Mitoma out and then bring back for game week 29, the double, bring in Solly March. I am conflicted. I haven't got to make that decision yet. Mitoma can come out. What I am sure about is I'm keeping McAllister. Playing so far forward, on pens, scored in this game week. I'm not losing McAllister. He is absolutely staying. So it's Mitoma that comes out. Does he come back in or does Solly March make the side? 0.4 could be crucial, as we'll see later on. XGI-wise, I think March just steals it. From an absolute gut feeling and just from the eye test, Mitoma, just for me, looks such a better player. But how much do I ignore the stats and just sort of go with my gut instinct that maybe FPL should be more like that? Maybe I'll just be thinking, you know what, Mitoma, he's the one to go for. So I am torn a little bit. One thing that I will say a bit more about the stats is underlying those stats, the actual numbers of what they produce so far, kind of not contradicts it, but backs up that Mitoma argument. He's got 1 goal, 3 assists in the last 4 games. Cast 2 goals, 1 assist, and then March got the goal last night. That's the only return he has, even though his underlying stats are better. So you can take that 2 ways. Is Mitoma just completely outperforming his underlying stats to such an extent that because he's such a good player, and March on the other side is getting in great positions but not making the most of them? Or are they going to even themselves out? Is March actually going to get up to his expected goal involvement over the course of the next few weeks? In which case, I want to be on him. I don't have to make that decision at the moment, but that 0.4 million might make a big difference to my side. So looking at my transfer plans then, for game week 28, Mitoma is in there. So this is how it stands at the moment. Lots of money for 2 transfers. Saka possibly on the captain armband. I'll talk about that more in team selection. There's other choices, so I'm not set in stone on that yet. I could move Matoma out and bring in Maddison. I want to say Neil Maddison there, but James Maddison. He has a fixture. That gives me 2.6. Moving forward then, still keeping Saka as the armband. Moving forward, what I could do is bench boost in 29. I've got Maddison in there with 2 fixtures. Next thing I could do is bring Matoma back into that side. And he'd just be on the bench, doesn't matter because he's on bench boost anyway. That gives me 4.1 million and Odegaard comes out. Single game week player. Will Matoma score more points at home to Brentford and away at Bournemouth than Odegaard at home to Leeds? I think he probably will. Brighton's fixtures don't look great after game week 30, but there are a few sort of double game weeks and on the horizon for them, but they do blank in 32, so I've got to consider that later on. But this is a possible plan. That gives me 4.1. Game week 30, I'm without Haaland at the moment. I'm going to want him back for game week 30. They got Southampton away. Fixtures after that look okay as well. The only way I think Watkins stays because he has fixtures. Tony will be on the cusp of a ban. I think after 20, after game week 29, he's got to come out for Haaland. If I have 4.1 with this plan, I cannot move from Tony to Haaland. So I've got to make money elsewhere. McAllister will probably get the old man in 29. But moving forward, if I went to March instead of Matoma, that gives me 4.4. So I've saved a bit of cash. Even though Matoma's 5.5, remember, I bought him for 5.4. So that saves me enough money to go bang on the money. Tony to Haaland would give me nothing in the bank, but I would be able to make that move if nothing else happens in that game week. The other choice is if I was absolutely hell-bent, because I still have another transfer to make, is I could stick with Matoma, leaving me just short, and move me to someone like Henry. Okay, that would give me a lot more money, and then I could easily move from Tony to Haaland. I wish in some ways I'd just gone straight from me to Henry in the first place when I wildcarded, but hey-ho, me looked more nailed on than that. So those are my plans. I think this week I'm going to bring Maddison in. He looks like the obvious choice. If you disagree with me, that's it for this one then, guys. Let me know in the comments below, what are your transfer plans for game week 28? And bearing in mind game week 29, which players are you looking to bring in then? We'll come back at you tomorrow with a team selection video. Remember, it's a Friday deadline this week, so you get caught out by that. We'll come back at you next week with a wildcard video for 29. We'll look at team selection, watch list, all that good stuff. So make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. And in the meantime, I'll speak to you soon.